6:14, and we're here for the first regularly scheduled meeting of the Brattleboro Select Board in April. We know that the meeting has been officially warned because we initially convened at 5:30 and went into executive session to discuss litigation and contract matters. Before even going to the first item on the agenda, hopefully with everybody's consent, my goal would be to move item I under new business, representative town meeting follow-up, to the top of the agenda, even before health commissioners. We have consent to do that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so by unanimous consent, we're going to move item I, representative town meeting follow-up, to item 6A, between public participation and health commissioners. First item on the agenda is to approve minutes from March 18, March 24, and March 26. And it should be noted that we have corrections that Kate O'Connor made already to the minutes from March 26. Are there any other corrections or comments to the minutes as presented, March 18, March 24, and March 26? Hearing none, is there a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve the minutes from March 18, 24, and 26. Is there any further discussion from anybody at the select board table or anybody who's in attendance? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anybody opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. Next matter on the agenda is chair's remarks. So as reflected in the minutes that we've just approved, we traveled as a board to Montpelier on March 26th. We met with the governor, with the President Pro Tem of the Senate, with the Speaker of the House, and then with representatives from the Agency of Commerce. And we spoke all throughout those meetings on March 26th about funding and revenue issues and challenges that we face here in Brattleboro as a result of our status as a regional economic hub. And we asked for support and help on that front. We also talked with the various state officials about how we can benefit as a town and as a community from the Vermont Yankee settlement funds, should they become available. And in fact, it's my understanding that as of yesterday or the day before, the memorandum of understanding with Entergy was approved. So we are going to hope that the $2 million a year for the next 5 years will be coming from Entergy to assist with economic development in Windham County. So we certainly got some commitment to help us trying to have input into the way the money will be spent for economic development. And Kate, I want to thank you for taking the lead on that issue. I think that that issue was very well received. I can't say exactly the same about our issues about a regional economic hub. Certainly, officials in the state government recognized it as a problem and indicated that it had been addressed before. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like there is a particular head of steam right now to create effective change in that area. Rather, it looks like we're going to have to pursue that issue ourselves.
But they heard us.
They heard us. There's no question about that. And I think that the first step that we'll take going forward is probably reaching out to other towns that are similarly situated, other regional economic hubs, to talk with them about coalition building to see if we can create some change in that area. So that wraps up our trip to Montpelier on March 26th. There's also some other news relating to a petition that was filed seeking a referendum on the budget article from town meeting, and we're going to talk about that immediately after public participation. Manager's comments.
No comment.
Select board comments and committee reports.
I missed the last police fire meeting, so
All right, well,
it might be a moot point later.
I think I'll speak to that under town meeting follow-up as well. I would say that there was a traffic safety committee meeting. There was consideration given to banning all parking on Spino Court, and that was voted down. There's also been some discussion about the snow plowing route, continuing discussion, including a request by a member of the public to make sidewalk snow plowing mandatory for homeowners.
Ooh. Huh?
That was discussed. It did not get an overwhelmingly positive review.
But it got
But
reviewed.
it's a topic that will be one for further discussion as we go forward. David?
I have a couple of things related to Montpelier. One is Dave mentioned that the governor pointed out that the study of local economic hubs and tax issues had been studied before, and one of the remedies was the local option sales tax, which obviously is not going to happen here. It wasn't a remedy for anybody in the Connecticut River Valley on the New Hampshire side of Vermont. The other thing I wanted to mention is that when we met with the legislators in the fall, we asked them to look into making it possible for multiple municipalities to co-use the solid waste management district, the landfill, for solar array, and Senator Galbraith pretty much on his own initiative pushed that through the Ways and Means Committee, got it amended, got it added as an amendment to the net metering bill, and it's now possible for to build multiple arrays on the management district site, and I think we may hear a little bit about that later on in the meeting. So thanks to the senator.
Anything else under select board member or committee reports? All right, so the next matter on the agenda is public participation. If there's anybody who wants to speak to something that's not on the agenda.
Cool.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Lynn Russell. I'm a resident of West Brattleboro and a representative of that district for this year. I'm new to the political process, fairly new to Brattleboro. Came here about 10 or 11 years ago. As a single mom who had just become a grandmother, I was invited to Brattleboro to help take care of my first grandbaby. Someone asked me why I got involved in the petition, which I did. And I went rambling on about why, but on the way to this meeting I realized it's because I'm a single mom and a grandma. I want to protect my children and our children. I'm fearful that the runaway spending habit, a habit has apparently developed in Brattleboro that I don't believe is beneficial for the town. I'm fearful that Brattleboro is heading down a road that the city of Detroit already went down, and that's pretty scary to me, because Brattleboro is such a special place, and the richness of Brattleboro is not in material wealth. It's not in, from my perspective, not from material gain or monetary resources. It's the true grit of the community, the heart and soul of the people that live here, that bring immense treasures of creativity and intelligence and service to the community. And I see as taxes go higher, more people are leaving Brattleboro, and that's very sad. People who have been here all their lives and maybe for generations are feeling like they're going to have to sell their homes and leave because they can't afford the rising taxes. when I left the representative town meeting, I felt so disheartened. I felt like people weren't really hearing or listening to what the townspeople are saying about our ability to handle the financial burden that is being asked of us. The very next day at church, there was a presentation about the roots of poverty. And I learned that 92% of Americans believe that all of us have more money than we really do. And there was a chart, and I made a copy of the chart. And I tried to make it big enough for you guys to see, but I have no idea how far away. And what I can do is make smaller ones and give you each a copy. The 92% of Americans think that the wealth is distributed along this pink line here. And we still have poor, but the middle class is doing all right. And then it goes up into the wealthy. The ideal, sorry, my mouth gets dry when I get nervous.
Do you need some
and then
water?
Everything sticks to
Do you need some water?
Well, I brought some. Do you mind?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That's in range because it's not a fixed temperature.
Thank you.
Oh.
Sorry. Oh, that'd be great. Thank you very much. My friend. Let's go. The pink describes what 92% of Americans think our distribution of wealth is in the country. The orange right here is what that same group of 92% wish for the economy. And this includes Republicans and Democrats. It's just 9 out of 10 folks want the poor to have more, would love it if the middle class had more, like twice as much, and again, off into the cosmos for the wealth of the wealthy. What's true, the actual truth, is the very bottom gray line, where the poorest of the poor don't even make it onto the chart. And this line is minimal until about 70% of the population, and then it begins to rise a little bit. And then it explodes at the top 20% of the population. The top 1% of the population has 40% of all the wealth of the country. There's been a lot about that 1%. But the next 19% below that share 53% of all the wealth in the country, which means that that top 20% of the population have 93% of the wealth, which of course then means the rest of us, 80%, are sharing 7% of the wealth. No wonder people are struggling. And within that 80%, the 40% who have the least, share only 1% of the wealth of the country. Learning this information answered my question about how could wonderful, educated, intelligent people with compassionate hearts and the good of Brattleboro continue down a road that was untenable and unsustainable. It occurred to me that many in the town government are within that 9 out of 10 people who think there's more money than there is. Clearly from this chart, there isn't the money to continue spending and continue taxing the people of Brattleboro as it's been.
Take a breath.
Thanks. When I came to Brattleboro, part of the richness of Brattleboro was the diversity of the population and the inclusiveness of folks here. Like a consciousness that everybody has a place and has gifts to offer and share. And I believe that diversity is where the treasure lies in town. I wasn't aware that people were coming to Brattleboro for financial reasons, for monetary reasons. It seemed to me that people came here for the arts, for the creativity, for music, for politics, political discussion, to hang out with intelligent people. People came here for the remarkable services and attention for children's programs, the needs of children, and more that I can't think of right now. Excuse me a minute. It's terrible. I came to share this information with you guys because it knocked my socks off, and it helped clarify some things for me that were just unclear, and I just couldn't figure it out. I also learned, subsequent to learning this information, 2 or 3 days later, learned that spontaneously popping up around the globe are communities and groups that are practicing what some are calling gifting economy or giving economy, sacred economy. Giving for the sake of giving because it's the right thing to do, and by golly, it feels great. Some folks in California have started a restaurant that's been in business 3 or 4 years, is successful. You have a wonderful meal, cooked by volunteers, served by volunteers. You get your bill, it says 0. So if you want to donate to the meals to the people coming after you, because somebody did in order for you to go and have dinner for free, you can do that, but you don't have to pay. If you don't have it, you still get to eat. That restaurant is succeeding. It's self-sustaining. It's in business, and now there's one in Chicago and one in Washington, D.C. as well. So that's a demonstration, for instance, indicating that this new way of doing business that is totally contrary to anything we've grown up with or been taught is a viable possibility. Along the lines of the gifting economy and perhaps using that model or considering the possibility of turning this ship a little bit away from shipwreck track, but to a more sustainable, positive future for Brattleboro, it occurs to me that perhaps you all would be willing to serve the town because it's the right thing to do and because you have gifts to do it and you want to share your gifts without accepting a monetary thank you, ma'am. And perhaps we could ask the school board to do the same. As I said before, I don't believe anybody came to Brattleboro to get rich. That wasn't part of the attraction of Brattleboro for people coming here. Another thought I had earlier today when I learned that the petition had succeeded in pursuing a referendum about the budget was to ask the high school if they would be willing to offer the gymnasium for the purpose of the referendum, because it's the right thing to do, as a gesture of goodwill and our faith in each other and in our ability to create a future of our own design that will work for Brattleboro. The folks up in Dummerston have a new fire station, but it didn't cost the taxpayers any money, from what I understand. I didn't do the study. I trust the source of the information. Anyway, I'm grateful that they have a new fire station, and I am 110% into doing the health and safety repairs that are necessary to keep our first responders safe. And I don't believe we need a new fire station in order for that to happen. I had one other thought about this chart.
Ms. Russell?
I'm going to finish up.
Yes, please.
Yeah, well,
Thank you. Comments?
Thank you for your patience. Thank you. Since that 20% have so much wealth, perhaps if we have folks in this category, they would be willing to fund the fire police project, and then that would remove that tax burden from the taxpayers. One last thought. I'd like you all to think about, if you grew up here in Brattleboro, to think about what it was about Brattleboro that you loved, what it was that brought you back here. And if you didn't grow up here, but you came here on purpose for a reason, maybe consider what it was that brought you here. Because I think that's where we're going to find a remedy to this enormous challenge. I believe that self-reflection will get us all in touch with the real wealth of Brattleboro, and some of it that I'm looking at right now. Thank you so much for your patience.
Anybody else on the public participation? Generally, comments would be limited to 2 minutes, please. John?
I wanted to comment on 2 things. One is I signed that referendum, and there are other notorious town meeting members on there like Spoon Agave and Michael Bosworth, who served with me on the Finance Committee. I signed it even though I support the budget. And I signed it because I think the referendum exists as a check and balance to local government. I intend to vote for the budget. My mind may change between now and then. But it is an important thing, I think, that check or balance exists. Because as a representative town meeting, we have an imperfect democracy. It's not a pure democracy. I'm part of an organization that stands for pure democracy. And it's a pretty popular one. And we have a representative democracy here in Brattleboro which is imperfect and has some flaws. One of the flaws is that we decided to take these state legislative districts and elect our town representatives from them at large instead of from smaller neighborhoods, which would be a more direct form of representative democracy. So I'm here in part to advocate for a change in the town charter, which would give us maybe 27 wards that could elect representatives. When you have a situation where you have to appoint a whole bunch of representatives, you have the possibility of sort of stacking the town meeting according to a certain issue. But the other issue that strikes home to me is that we probably didn't have a lot of people coming forward for town meeting this year because everybody's up against it. I mean, there's more and more stress on people's household budgets, and that means their time. They're using their time to do other things that they badly need to do. I'd like to see something happen that addresses that and gives us a more direct kind of representative democracy in Brattleboro. The other comment I wanted to make, which is not on the agenda, is about single-payer health care. In the state, we're moving toward single-payer health care, and there's still a lot of questions about how it's going to be funded. I personally believe, and I want to tell my fellow town members and residents, that we need a trust of some kind to be established that would hold the expenses of single-payer health care in check, so that if it's given all to one agency, as has been proposed, that it all be given to Blue Cross Blue Shield to administer, that that trust would have a set of trustees who would hope to check the expenses of single-payer health care. I think if we do anything other than that, we're courting disaster and probably a political revolution in this state. Thank you.
Is there any further public participation? Well, thank you. Next matter on the agenda is representative town meeting follow-up. So today was the deadline for presentation of petitions to seek referendum on articles that were adopted at town meeting. And there was a petition that was presented today with 56 signatures of the 153 town meeting members. So that's about 37% of the town meeting members asked for a referendum, public vote on the budget article, which was Article 19 on the warning from the town meeting last Saturday. The provisions of the charter that govern what's going to happen are Section 8 in the first appendix and Section 4 in Article 3 relating to the powers of the people. So Section 4 under referendum says that on a petition signed by at least 50 representative town meeting members, any article from town meeting will be brought up for referendum. And then the procedure for the referendum is that the select board has 14 days from the filing of the petition to call a special town meeting, and then the special town meeting is held within 10 days thereafter for the sole purpose of addressing the question that was part of the petition to be voted on solely by ballot. And that's a ballot article that will be open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So preliminarily, we are considering having a special select board meeting on April 7th. That would be next Monday, in order to call the public vote probably for April 17th, which would be Thursday, 2 weeks from now. At a ballot, Australian ballot town meeting, there's no discussion of the item that's on for consideration. So I've also been considering, given that the voters at large really probably have not studied the budget in the same way that the board studied the budget, and in the same way that town meeting members studied it and had an opportunity to do so at informational meeting. I've been considering also the possibility of setting an informational meeting for any members of the public who want to become informed about the budget itself. The budget was about $16,200,000, a little bit less, $16,200,000. And so, in addition to having a special meeting, if we can, on April 7th, and that's going to be subject to availability, I'm going to ask Jan,
We do have a special
We
meeting
have a
scheduled.
special meeting scheduled for that day. That's
New
part of the
England
site
Drive.
visit for.
all right, so we're going to add, without objection from anybody on the board, we're going to add to the meeting on April 7th, which is scheduled to deal with the New England Drive site visit. We're going to add to that meeting, calling the special town meeting for the ballot on the budget on April 17th. And I'm also going to ask the town manager and town manager secretary, please, to determine if there is a night during that week of the 7th or the beginning of the week of the 14th to have an informational meeting. No, BOHS won't waive the fees in order for a vote to happen at the gymnasium. The mats have to go out, and generally we have to pay. We may do it somewhere else. Patrick?
Yes, sir. Obviously, the board can choose to differ from this. We were talking about a little earlier. The town clerk and I would recommend that we conduct that vote here at the select board room. That would allow us to save the costs, and we've done that before. And this room works fairly well for that type of an event. And we'd have more details on that on the 7th.
All right, so we will try to do the voting here at Select Board Meeting Room or such other location as can be arranged. And we'll try to set up an informational meeting if there's no objection from anybody on the board.
I'm gone from the 11th to the 20th.
Maybe you want to get an early voting ballot.
I'll do the
I don't know how you vote though, so, however you vote, just make sure to vote.
Yeah, okay.
I would also note that at the reorganizational meeting on March 24th, we briefly followed up on issues that had arisen at town meeting, and based upon the continuing expression of concern by some town meeting members about the costs of the police fire facility, we asked the police fire committee to review that project and to look at various ways in which costs could be saved off of that project. And it's my understanding that the Police Fire Committee, in consultation with the design team, has been working towards developing a list of ways in which money could be saved off of that project. And we've asked them to prioritize those items and to analyze them and to be prepared to speak with us about those. There's not a specific time frame that we've asked for, but that work also is in process as we speak. Anybody else on the board have anything they want to say about town meeting follow-up?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to
If you
suggest-
take the mic, please,
Oh, sure.
and say your name.
Ralph Nyman, District 3. Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to suggest that the week of the 14th is actually spring break in all the area schools. And because this is an extremely important question necessitating or justifying a special town meeting, that the special town meeting and referendum not take place during that week. That would include the 17th. Now, I don't know if that would affect participation or not, but I think for some families it probably would. So,
We're on timing
Thanks.
now, aren't we?
Yeah,
Has to be by the 17th.
we'll take that under advisement. John?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the Finance Committee, which is under appointment to representative town meeting to advise them and recommend to them actions on the budgets and the finances of the town. Why don't you have the Finance Committee present at the public information session to account for ourselves? I mean, I've met with them scores of times, and we've been all over this stuff, and I would be happy to be there.
If you want to invite the Finance Committee members, John, I think that'll be fine. Jan?
We don't have a finance committee. They were not appointed at representative town meeting.
It should be appointed by then. I mean, those of us who are on the committee, they should be appointed by the time of the special meeting, because usually there's a bit of a lag. The moderator in practice names or asks the people to serve on that committee. He probably just hasn't gotten around to it yet.
Any further?
Those of us who are on the committee will probably continue to serve or meet.
Any further comments on this item? Next item on the agenda is under Health Commissioners. We had noticed a hearing for tonight on a potential health order on an issue arising at 19 Elm Street, but there is no longer a need, as I understand it, to convene that public hearing. Is that correct, Bob?
That is correct.
And the person against whom the health order was sought isn't present tonight, and so that matter's going to be passed over because there's no need for that issue. So the next item on the agenda is we'll convene as liquor commissioners. Is there a motion to convene as liquor commissioners?
So moved.
We have a motion to convene as liquor commissioners. Is there any discussion from anybody on the board or anybody who's in attendance? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. So we are considering the third round of liquor and tobacco licenses. I think each time I've read the list of institutions that are looking for liquor and tobacco licenses. So tonight, Aldi's, Arkham, Brattleboro Village Pizza, Buckley's, the Eagles, the Grill of Brattleboro, and Metropolis Wine Bar are all applying for renewal of their liquor and/or tobacco licenses. It doesn't look like there are any violations for any of those businesses. Does anybody have any questions about any of those licenses? John?
No. Did we adopt on the grill that they were going to have DJs and bands? And I just saw this at the bottom. Wasn't that brought up to us before?
They were asking for an outdoor
permit.
and that wasn't granted because
Okay.
it wasn't particularly defined.
I didn't know they were going to have bands there. And it's
Party on, man.
party. Oh, hey.
Party on.
Starting at noon.
Yep, starting at noon.
Starting at noon.
Anything else?
Cool.
Anybody in attendance have any questions or comments about those liquor licenses or tobacco licenses? Well, then we're ready for motion, please.
To approve renewals of liquor and tobacco licenses for the businesses on the list.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. And then we're ready for a motion to adjourn as liquor commissioners.
So moved.
We have a motion to adjourn as liquor commissioners. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. Next matter on the agenda is a report from the Skate Park Site Selection Committee.
Good evening. I'm going to let both Betsy and Liz handle this presentation. The committee has been working very hard since December. They've had several meetings a month. They've been very diligent in taking their work very serious and receiving a lot of public feedback and comments, where they set up their own, had some an email address to take public comment coming in through skateparkideas@brattleboro.org. So I'm not going to take any wind out of their sail. I'm going to turn it over to the chair and vice chair, Chair Betsy Gentili and Vice Chair Liz McLaughlin.
First of all, I wanted to thank the Select Board because I feel we have a really balanced, hard-working committee. The other thing that we've really strived to do, especially with our email ability, is to be incredibly transparent and open, public participation at every meeting. The emails are all vetted by the committee. Any site that is recommended by any person in this town is considered. And then if for some reason the site is not going to go through to the next round, we have detailed notation as to why that site has not been approved, so that at any time if somebody came to us and said, why wasn't, Home Depot, we have a reason. We called, we could say, this is no longer a site. So as Carol said, we've been meeting since December. The first thing we did was tackle criteria. We looked at a lot of information, Tony Hawk, some of the information the Basic Committee gave us, some of the public information, the Rec and Parks information around criteria, and I think you might have a copy of our final list of criteria. That was really hard work, and we feel really proud of the list that we've come up with for criteria. Then we started looking at every site, every parcel of land, public and private, in the town of Brattleboro that could accommodate a 6,500 square foot skate park, which was the minimum size that Basic recommended. We looked at those sites with the help of the planning department and Rod Francis. We looked them on, projected them on the wall. We looked at maps, and we started culling down. Joe Bushy's on our committee, born and raised in Brattleboro. He knows every single corner of this town. So he was very helpful in saying, topography, this isn't going to happen. So we really looked through those sites and got them down. I think we started with about 50?
We had,
50-some sites. We got them down to 30. Then we looked at them again. Everybody took a site to call the realtor at Home Depot, call all the places that we might have questions about, Sosimo. We reported back the next meeting on the results of those calls, again culled through them again, and now we're down to 10 sites. We have our criteria in the next meeting that we're going to start to weight, so that when we go out to a site, and we might be going to 10, we might be going to less, depending on what some of the results are of the calls we've made this week. There'll be warned meetings. The public will be invited to come to the site that we're visiting. Now that it's sort of spring, we'll be able to get to some of the sites. That's why we wanted to do all the criteria up front, so that as soon as we could get walking around town, we'd have it all together to do. So we'll be looking at those sites and reviewing them. We're going to be, I think it's going to be really tight to make the May 1st deadline. And I don't feel bad about it, because we're really putting in a boatload of work. We're meeting here tonight. We're meeting this Thursday night at 5:15 if anybody wants to come, at the Rec and Parks building. So I think June 1st is very doable. I'm not really sure May 1st will be. So I think one of the things we would like to do tonight is see if it would be possible to have that extension, because, again, we're working really hard, and we have a great committee. Everyone's been coming to all the meetings. So that's sort of where we are right now.
I think between April 1st, tonight's meeting, and May 1st, they have 5 meetings that are scheduled. So they're very aggressive in their approach in trying to get those meetings underway. They certainly haven't been doing one meeting a month, but the reality is this has taken a tiny bit longer than expected, and the committee is really making sure that no stone has been unturned.
And that we're vetting everything. I mean, we're looking at every single email and talking about it and making notation as to why it's thumbs up or thumbs down, and doing the groundwork. We might be able to, depending on what the final list of sites is, to see a couple in one night. We might not. I mean, it really depends on the locations and how we can cluster them together. That's why I think we need a little bit of leeway in terms of the May 1st deadline.
they're doing a great job, aren't they?
Yeah, the Brattleboro.org website email address has proven to be very valuable. We received 35 emails, all of which is, various feedback on criteria, feedback on sites.
Likely.
I would want to mention that there are several members of the public and of the committee here in attendance.
Yes, I wanted to ask
Marty?
members of the committee if they've got anything to contribute, but I have a question first, if I could. Given the work that you've done and the work that you have left to do, when do you reasonably think you'll be finished?
June 1st. I do not want to go into July. I don't think we need to.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be down to probably 6 to 8 sites, and that, as I said, depending on where they're located, we'll be going out, using our weighted criteria, coming back, totaling up the criteria, and coming to the Rec and Parks Board, hopefully with 2 or 3 top sites, and then on the Rec and Parks Board, we will then be coming to you with our recommendations, and then it's up to you.
And it sounds like you anticipate that,
May 12th Rec Board meeting, we hope to hit the May 12th Rec Board meeting.
excellent, and you think that you'll come to us with 1, 2, or 3 sites sort of ranked, and talk about pluses and minuses?
Well, our criteria, our weighted criteria will create, I mean, it would be very unusual for 7 people on a committee to come through with 2 sites ranked completely equal. So, it could happen. Could happen.
People who are on the committee, anybody from the committee want to talk to us?
Or our traditional supporters?
You know?
Are you happy with
Yeah,
it?
Jeff, I mean, tell us, please.
Jeff Clark, I'm the chair of the Basic Committee. I've been to almost every one of the meetings. You should be very proud of the committee. They're doing a bang-up job. They're very methodical about how they go through the sites. If a site, they've been making the decision that if somebody doesn't want a site to be crossed off, they're going to leave it on until it's fully vetted. The email address, I think, has been really utilized. There's been public participation, that being throughout all of their meetings. There's plenty of seating. They're not scary people. My only concern is 2 months from now, when this room gets filled, and the 11th hour is, and people come here and say, wait, how is that decision being made? When was that one X? Why are we there? You need to be able to say, this is the time. You have to go to the meetings. Because the decisions are being made now, on a weekly basis, but they're a great job. It wouldn't surprise me if they're going to be done by May, because 5:15 the meetings start, 5 to 6:30 they end. She stays on task.
Yeah.
So,
I'm brutal about that. 6:45 we are out. Yeah.
but it's a great committee and
Yeah,
done a really good job.
Thank you.
Excellent, thanks, Jeff.
I would like to say that Marty's wife Patty has been doing our minutes, and she is absolutely amazing. And they are on the website. Everything we do is on the town website. The minutes, the agenda, any maps, public. What we're doing is we're putting all our public emails on it without the email address, so that all those public input is on our website, but not with the name and email address, so that to sort of keep it confidential.
Is that Marty?
That's Marty, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Committee, right? I remember. So Marty, how do you like the committee?
I've enjoyed it immensely.
Thanks for serving. Thanks, everybody who's been participating.
Thank you.
It's a big help.
Do we need to move?
In a minute, let's hear from John.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, Kate?
I just want to ask a question because Howard did a story in the paper, which is very informative. Have you folks...
Wow.
I'm just checking the facts. Have you folks talked to the private property people yet? Or
Yes.
The Austin, Famulary, and Cedar?
Yes, but I'm not going to discuss that until we have our committee meeting.
Oh, okay.
That's a report out to committee.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're just wondering.
yeah, that will be discussed on Thursday.
Okay.
That'll be my next thing.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, it's a little tricky, we're really
I
into,
think that's the next
we're
article.
really into transparency, and I was saying, you've got the paper sitting right there, and you're just like, I work for Ron Staley, so it's a little scary.
Anybody else from the board? John?
Until recently, I lived across the street from Coalot, so I witnessed a lot of the conflict over that proposal. In fact, my household was divided over it. I wanted to ask if the Select Board would indulge a very brief presentation, just a listing, if you will, of what the 10 remaining sites are. This information may be publicly available. I don't know, but I think this, as a public meeting and a televised meeting, might be a good place to say where they are.
Do you want to listen? Do you want me to?
You can list them.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, let's list.
So we'll do it.
Okay.
Let's see. The Osteen School, the Famolari property, the Cedar Street properties, which we've designated as perhaps the Wyndham Foundation, the Ski Jump, the Outing Club, or the Retreat Lands. School properties consisting of BUHS or bands, the Crowell Lot, Fort Dummer Field, and town properties consisting of the Elm Street Lot, Living Memorial Park, the Common, or the Elliott Street Park. And we understand that the Elliott Street Park is also known as Thomas Lynch Park.
And you started with how many?
50-something, 58, I think.
The interpreters asked me to interrupt to say they're missing the listing, and I'm wondering if we could ask you to repeat.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Well, they can,
From Fort Dummer.
oh, do you want to see it, read it, or?
You just read it again. It has all of the same thing.
Fort Dummer Field. Town properties are the Elm Street Lot, Living Memorial Park, the Common, Elliott Street Park, which is also known as Thomas Lynch Park.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions or comments? All right, so there's been a request to extend the date for the skate park site selection committee to report back to the select board to June 1. Do we have a motion?
I move that we extend the date to June 1st.
Is there any further discussion about that motion or anything related to the skate park site selection committee's presentation? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. Thank you very much for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming.
Yep.
The next matter on the agenda is cell tower application to the Public Service Board, and I saw Rob. Mr. Francis.
Good evening. You have before you information in your packet concerning an application for a cell tower to be constructed on property with the street address of 416 Meadowbrook Road. I should say that I made a typo in my memo too. It's 416 Meadowbrook. And it's on behalf of American Towers and Verizon Wireless. It's regarded under 30 VSA Section 248A as a proposed tower that would be of limited size and scope. That is below 140 feet high from the ground and less than 10,000 square feet of earth disturbance for its construction. The Planning Commission discussed the matter and had a minor clarification regarding the applicant's interpretation of the 2013 town plan, highlighting that in fact in a map of natural resources the slope is evaluated as having scenic viewshed function, and so consequently have requested that the application process include a visual impact analysis of the site. In a conversation with the attorney representing the applicants today, they confirmed that they would propose to undertake that, and at this point, due to the weather more than anything else, they are somewhat behind in filing their application because they need to conduct a wetland study in that parcel, and the ground has to be actually not frozen for them to establish the boundaries of the wetland. So they think sometime in August. That's actually a mild joke, maybe June. Okay. Do you have any questions?
When I first received this packet in the mail at home, my question was, is it going to be visible? I take primarily from Route 9, and I see in the memo that there's some question whether it'll be visible given the location and the height in relation to the tree line.
Yes.
Can you tell us where it is and where it would be seen from if it were going to be seen? I mean, I know where's 416 Meadowbrook Road, but...
Okay. It may be visible depending on the angle that you view it from, as you travel the Route 9 corridor. It's clearly intended to improve cell phone service in the valley that Route 9 travels along the bottom of. But it's been, the proposed position is such that the hillside rises up behind the proposed tower. And so, given the steep elevation and then adding on the height of the existing tree cover, the background to this cell phone tower is not likely, well, the background will provide enough cover so that it won't stand out on the horizon. You will notice it depending on the angle because it's an aluminum pole that's been painted brown with some green plastic.
It's a fake Christmas tree.
Yeah, it's a very...
Just put a tower up instead?
Well, you and I may fall into that small category of cell phone tower viewers who prefer their cell phone towers to be real cell phone towers, but...
It is what it is.
But we don't have any control over that, I think.
No, it is referred to as a stealth monopole pine tower for reasons that will become clear to you once it's established. So it conforms to their current industry standards and expectations. What can I say? I think depending on where you are, you may be able to distinguish it. There is, for instance, a similar one on the slope on the western side of 91.
Yes.
Right, and that probably has more visual impact than this one may.
And you don't even notice it.
But you also don't get any cell phone connectivity out of it either. But I don't know. I sure don't get anything out of it. But so anyway, I think that's it'll be visible depending on the angle. Is my suspicion.
Does it make any difference for the select board to vote at this point to request a visual impact?
You could underscore or add emphasis to the Planning Commission's request. The Planning Commission has has party status basically before the Public Service Board, as does the Select Board. So it's I can't guarantee that 2 letters is going to have more weight than one. The attorney representing the applicants confirmed for me that they did expect to do a visual impact analysis as a matter of course, but and he was happy to receive that verbal request. So it's up to you as to whether you think this is a necessary added layer.
Questions from the board?
You cannot ask for a different color.
Who pays for the study?
Oh, the applicant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we're in agreement that they're ugly. But I think
Ugly, but very useful.
Maybe.
Well, Rod's doesn't work.
Yeah. Is there any discussion or questions from anybody who's in attendance? All right. Well then. I'm all set. I move that the select board submit a letter seconding the request of the Planning Commission and asking for a visual impact analysis of the site based on the identification of the project as lying in a scenic view shed. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Next matter on the agenda is awarding the bid for cemetery maintenance.
Oh, Carol's back.
Back again. Good evening once again. Here this evening to review the annual seasonal maintenance bids for the maintenance of Prospect Hill Cemetery and Morningside Cemetery. That includes spring cleanup, the weekly mowings, and fall cleanup. This year we received 3 bids ranging from $17,800 to $56,860.
That's quite a span.
And I'd like to recommend that we go with a low bid from Turner and Renault for $17,800.
Have they done it before?
They have had it the last 3 years,
Did a
yes.
good job?
They've done an awesome job.
Excellent.
Seems a wise decision.
Cut down White Tree, did a good job.
Oh, they
Any
did?
questions? Yeah. Well, before it fell in my garage.
There you go.
Any discussion? Any questions? Any comments from anybody on the board? Is anybody in attendance? All right, so we have a motion.
I move that we award a contract in the amount of $17,800 to Turner and Renault for seasonal maintenance of Prospect Hill Cemetery and Morningside Cemetery.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. Next matter on the agenda is to award a bid for the West River Park Sewer Project.
Okay, so here I sit. So we put out to bid the sewer project, which includes installing a septic tank and pump station and tying that into the existing force main and leach field at West River Park. This project is completely fundraised, so all the money from the West River Park Committee that they've been raising over the past few years will pay for this project. We received 10 bids, ranging from $14,287 to $21,000. So I'd like to recommend that we go with a low bid from A.S. Clark & Sons of Newfane for $14,287.
We've had good experience with that contractor?
I was going to ask.
Yes.
Yeah, I did speak with Public Works, and they have had positive experiences.
Good company. That's a lot of bids.
That is a lot, yeah.
That's a lot of bids.
Pretty big spread
Very,
project
very
that size,
tight,
too.
though. No, they're very tight.
It's only $21,000 one.
Yeah, from top to bottom, but I had 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5,
Yeah.
5 in 14,000 range.
And David, look at the last one for the mowing, went from 17 to
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they wanted-
56.
They didn't want to do the job.
They didn't want it.
They were from northern Vermont.
That's
so-
good.
It's a long drive.
No, that's a lot.
So they'd had a lot of travel. So.
That's good to get that many bids.
Yeah, I was
It
very
really is.
pleased. It was very competitive, very competitive.
Is there any more discussion from anybody on the board about the West River Park Septic Tank and Pump Station? Anybody who's in attendance? We're ready for a motion.
All right, I move to approve a contract in the amount of $14,287 to A.S. Clark & Sons for the installation of a septic tank and pump station at West River Park.
Is there any further discussion?
I knew Donna was ready. She had her glasses on.
Excellent. Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. Thank you, Carol.
Great, thank you for your time.
Good night, Carol.
See ya. Next matter on the agenda is the solar energy project.
You gonna make you sit by yourself?
That's a nice invitation.
Good evening. Just to give you some background on this agenda item, a year ago, in April 2013, the Select Board approved entering into a contract with Integrated Solar and Green Lantern Capital to purchase solar net metering energy credits from a 500 kilowatt solar electric project to be located in Townsend, Vermont. And I wanted to give you just a brief update on that project. I spoke today with Luke Schillenberger from Green Lantern Capital, and he said that Green Lantern has applied for a certificate of public good from the Public Service Board in early March, and they are expecting to receive that certificate of public good soon, and they're looking to start construction on the project in May or June, pending receipt of the certificate of public good.
If they start construction in May or June, when would they be completed, and when would we see some type of performance relating to that original contract that we authorized?
Do you have a sense of that question?
My impression from talking to them was it's a few month project. So certainly by the end of the summer.
Okay. Do you have something to say?
I spoke with him as well, and he definitely indicated, assuming they get the permits, construction will be complete this calendar year for sure.
Good. All right. So, go ahead.
So the town presently has the billing capacity to accept an additional number of renewable energy credits from an additional 500 kilowatts of solar-generated electricity. And recently, opportunities have arisen for the town to do that. The Energy Committee has received proposals from 2 local companies, Integrated Solar and Sovereign Incorporated. And so based on this information, the Energy Committee is recommending that the town issue an additional request for proposal for 1 or more additional solar electric projects. More specifically, the RFP would specify that the proposed project size would range from 10 kilowatts to 500 kilowatts. Like the previous RFP, the proposals would specify what % of the net metered solar energy credits the town would keep, so the town would be guaranteed a discount on its electricity bills. The length of the term would be specified by the vendor. The project contract may include an option for the town to purchase the solar array at fair market value during or at the end of the term. And there would be no risk to the town in that the installer would be responsible for siting and maintaining the project and assuming all costs and liabilities associated with it over the length of the term. And the town would have the option to accept multiple proposals or reject all proposals.
Anybody from the board? Nobody from the board?
I thought David would have all kinds of...
No, I think it's a good idea. We should do it. We're looking to save money. That's
I mean,
one of the ways we can.
I mean, again, I don't want to sound like anti-solar, so nobody take it this way. You know, I'm totally into solar, I'm totally into the renewable stuff. I just would rather wait until we see the first one, you know, get done. If we haven't even started building what we already signed for last year, I'm sort of the, why can't we wait and see how the first one goes? And maybe you folks have an answer to that, as opposed to starting something when we aren't even done with our first attempt.
If I can speak to that, we talked about that on the committee, and there was, you know, some feeling along those lines as well. The permitting process, I mean, we're now a year from when the last one was approved, and so the permitting process and the different aspects of these projects can be a long time. There's some things happening with solar panels. The price of solar panels have reached a bottom and are starting to climb again. Again, we don't know what that means. That doesn't mean we don't know if they're going to continue to climb or if they are going to dip again, but it's the first time that this has happened in a long time, because there's been a steady downward. So that's one factor. The other factor is that the tax credits are ending in 2016. And then there's also the possibility of the state legislature changing the terms on net metering and making it less advantageous. And so we felt like sort of hearing through this RFP process what is available and what deals are available was a prudent thing to do at this time, with the caveat that we don't have to accept any of them. So it's a fact-finding sort of thing that we're proposing to see, you know, given the present environment, what's available at this time, and then as things evolve, we can kind of look at you know, what the conditions are, and then bring it to the select board with our recommendation, which could include let's wait. So that's still on the table for us, and it's still on the table for you, but we felt like it's prudent, given these factors, to look now and see if there's some good deals available that we could look at now.
David?
Yeah, I think if there were any liability to the town at all, if there was any danger that we risked a penny or even any of our time, because all we have to do is just raise our hands and say yes or no, the Energy Committee really does all the work. If there were any liability or any risk at all, I could see why we might want to wait. But there just isn't any. If the whole thing just goes up in smoke, we just keep paying our bill exactly as we always have. There's just no reason to not try to save more money on our electric bill. And this is the available, guaranteed by the legislature. It's already been tried, it's already functioning, we know the technology works, we know our bills are going to go down, we know we're going to save taxpayers money. We just heard a powerful request for us to continue doing that. We're going to revote the town budget because people don't want us to spend money, but we're not going to look at a savings on our power bill. It just doesn't make sense.
But what bothers me a little bit, and it's just, you said something about that they may change the laws on net metering, and they may, so it sounds like, and I don't know if that's a government agency that's going the other way, and that solar panels are now becoming more expensive, and it just, and I know, and I agree with you that if there's no risk on our part, and go for it, but I'm just trying to figure out which way the government agencies are going with this. And
Well, I should clarify a couple things. One is that once a project gets its certificate of public good, then the terms are fixed as far as the state. So it's not like the rug can be pulled out under a project. The state of Vermont and the federal government is behind supporting the industry and wants to see it flourish eventually without taxpayer support, without these subsidies and tax incentives. And so they're working really hard to try to nurture it and keep it going. The reason solar panels are going up in price is that there was a glut of them in China. Was producing too many of them, and I think the global markets are changing. We're not trying to predict what the future is. No, that's a foolish thing. Nobody can predict the future. We're just saying we think this is a good time to look at what the possibilities are, and if something really stands out as being really good, we want to bring it to you and have you consider it.
Can I ask another call?
No, go ahead.
Maybe you said this and like I missed it. Do we know, is there anywhere in this where it would be built or anything, or is that the next step?
That could be part of the proposals. That I think that would strengthen a proposal is if a vendor came forward and said, we have a site and here it is. I think that would probably strengthen that proposal, but we're not requiring that like we did on the first one, leaving it up to the vendors, because that can be a fluid thing. Things can change. You can have a site, think it's good, and then have it not work out. You need the flexibility to go to another site.
So I think I was probably the only one here who was on the board when the first proposal came through about 18 months ago, and we asked the Energy Committee to go back and change the proposal to address some concerns we had, including wanting to make sure that there was going to be a guaranteed savings to the town at a certain percentage. That's what I recall. There may have been some other changes that we requested. And then based upon the change in the proposed bid structure, we got proposals back, and it has been quite some time. Looks like almost a year now since we since we authorized entering into the contract with Integrated Solar and Green Lantern to do this work. And the Energy Committee did come back to us, I want to say a couple months maybe, after that contract, and ask us to authorize another. And at the time, either 4 or 5 of us who were still here said, well, let's wait till the project that we've already authorized comes back so we see the performance. And so I just want to make sure that essentially you're bringing back to us something similar to what you came back to us with like 2 or 3 months after the last contract, and you're saying, well, maybe it's a good time to look at it again, even though we haven't got the first project up and running yet. Is that fair to say?
Yep.
It's not a problem. I may vote in favor, but,
Yeah.
it's, essentially you're asking the same thing as
I
you
think
did.
that's fair. I think we would
Okay.
take into account sort of the lag times that, if you do an RFP, there's a lag time, we've got to look at the proposals and stuff like that. So you need to take that into consideration.
Lester looked at us like, is that a trick question?
I just want to make sure that this is the same thing or different.
I'm going, yes.
That's all right. It was kind of a slow pitch, but, maybe you didn't like, how you hit the ball.
I would like to see something happen.
Well, I mean, right. I mean, I think when I saw this come across, I said, why am I seeing this now when we haven't got the credits starting coming back in from the last project? And why would we be asking to do it again until we have it back? Because we said before not to. But based upon the explanation now, I think that I'm leaning in favor of voting to allow an RFP to go out. Just as long as we're clear that we don't have to accept any of them. Should we even just decide that it's a thing that we don't want to do until we see the other one come through. But if that's going to be an aspect of the way the RFP goes out, and Patrick, you'll make sure that language is in there, just that we can just reject for any reason or no reason.
Would you like for us to coordinate together on this?
Yes, please. Yeah.
I think that would be useful.
I'd like to make sure that if an RFP is going to go out, that it goes through the town manager's office.
No,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that we make sure that we include that sort of a clause.
That's
It can
a
be
standard clause. but,
Any reason or no reason.
We'll make sure it gets reviewed, and I can work with Lester or Paul or whomever, and make sure legal has a chance to make sure it's up to snuff.
Thanks. But with that exception there, I don't really see the downside at this point, so. Do I change my mind? Yeah, but I want to make sure whether anybody else got anything to say. Mr. Harvey?
And George Harvey. And, out of habit, I guess I feel like adding District 3. There is a downside to a negative vote on this that I think has not been mentioned, and that is we have no idea what the costs of fuel will be for fossil fuels. And though Brattleboro electricity is not generated from fossil fuels for the most part, the changes in the fossil fuel industry will have an effect on the prices of electricity going into the future, as long as we don't own the generating facilities. And the information that I'm seeing, I spend about 3 hours every day, 7 days a week, researching energy, doing research of headlines, looking at what is going on in the world and so forth. And what I'm seeing is that first of all, the natural gas that's being produced, the price is up about 80% from the low. The forecasts for natural gas are that it's going to get tighter in the future. From some analysts, they're expecting it to get very tight by the end of this year, and with the price going up. The gas fields are not generating, the fracked fields are not generating as promised. European banks are saying that the utilities in the United States, and I think that Green Mountain Power can be excluded from this because it doesn't generate its own power, and we're dependent on hydro for a lot of what we're getting, but the utilities in the United States are heading for what they call, this is UBS in Switzerland, call a perfect storm, in which we're going to be heading for extremely bad conditions in the not very distant future, resulting from a confluence of events, one of which is a decline in the availability of fossil fuels. Another is attacks from the governments, such as the United Nations, saying that we've got to reduce fossil fuel use because of global warming and so forth. I think we can expect that there may be a very rocky road ahead for all of the generating facilities that most people use, and there will be an effect of that on price of all fuel that we do not have control over. We do have control over solar power. We know exactly what the cost of the fuel is going to be. It's going to be zero. And to invest in that at this point is investing in stability. Not to invest in that at this point is to bet on stability that is very likely, according to the analysts, not going to be there. I would very strongly recommend that we invest in solar as quickly as we possibly can in order to be able to retain stability in the future. Thank you.
John?
John Wilmerding, 2nd District. I began to look into the question of the town getting involved with solar energy and using renewable energy sources several years ago when I began my tenure in the Finance Committee, and it makes a lot of sense financially as far as I understand it. Initially I had some objections. I had some objections because I thought that the proposals that were being presented called for the town to benefit indirectly from the subsidies that are available through tax credits to private investors. I don't have those objections anymore. I think the movement towards solar and renewable energy is very, very urgent. I think that global warming is a life or death proposition, which we in the hills of Vermont might not feel as much as the people who are living in the shoreline in Bangladesh, for example. I think that we should be moving precipitously in the direction of renewable energy, and especially and looking past what in the news today is the low-hanging fruit, which is energy efficiency. We still have work to do on that score in the town as well. I would ask the Select Board, however, to consider that we may not want to be in the business of operating solar arrays or generating energy on a commercial scale when the opportunity comes to buy this solar array. I think we may want, as a town, to delegate our right to purchase the array to another organization, such as a public interest, public service, microgrid organization. I've had conversations about this with George Harvey as well. And I think that eventually we will be moving in this direction because we have a monopoly on the retail sale of electricity in this state right now. When you have a monopoly, there are dangers that the price will grow like Topsy. I think that we should be trying to balance that monopoly with more local sources. And I think that there's a certain tacit wisdom present in Montpelier that is legislating in favor of that kind of thing when they have increased the limit that Green Mountain Power has to accept solar energy and net metering projects in terms of the total percentage of Green Mountain Power's electrical capacity. They keep raising the amount so that hopefully the communities will build more and more. I think there's money out there to study these things, but I think that this is not out of line to go ahead and approve a project like this with the understanding that when we have the opportunity to buy that array, we might want to delegate that opportunity to another agency, an agency specially set up to manage, let's say, several of these solar arrays, which hopefully by then we will have. One more thing. I really prefer a visible site for these arrays. I know that a lot of people think they're ugly, but I really feel that Vermont is in the forefront of thinking in many, many social, political, and economic issues. And I would like to see this visible because I think it will help to convince people in Vermont and convince people in the world that this is right and it's worth doing, and we should be doing it.
Any other discussion? I guess we're ready for a motion.
I move that the town issue an RFP for one or more additional solar electric projects with the assistance of the Energy Committee as based on the specifics presented by the Energy Committee.
In coordination with the town manager's office?
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. Next matter on the agenda.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We lost Donna.
Thank you. Next matter on the agenda is annual select board assignments. Quick, let's assign something to Donna.
Yeah. Donna gets them all.
No.
That needs to be somebody who can show up in the middle of the workday.
Yeah. So, I guess we'll go down the list, and we won't assign anything to Donna, and then when she comes back, she can tell us what she wants to do. Is there anybody in the room who wants to be on the Capital Grants Review Board? Anybody in the room, I guess John's already on the police fire as a monitor. Anybody who wants to be in the Rental Housing Improvement Program Loan Committee? Don't all jump in at once.
I'm waiting for mine.
I'm waiting for mine. Anybody want to be on the Small Business Assistance Program Loan Committee?
I want to be on the solid waste.
Really? Still nobody? Anybody want to be on Traffic Safety? I do. You do! David G. Anybody want to be on the Wyndham Solid Waste Management District?
Yes.
Me. Oh, you do too?
Oh, wow. Do we arm wrestle?
I'm already on it.
You are?
Yeah.
Oh.
I've been on it for a year.
Okay.
You dumped it on me.
Oh, did it? We dumped it on me.
Well, I didn't even know, well, just somebody to take it, so I said, sure.
Oh.
But yeah, I'm into it now.
And you only need one person, huh?
Well, there's an alternate as well. Dora's been doing that. I don't know if you wanna-
Oh, no, I think we should have a second. You want to do
Yeah.
that? Yeah,
Absolutely.
totally. All right, John, is it alternate or is it a second person?
I believe it's an alternate, but we
Right.
are most often both there.
Oh, we'd love to have good
Oh,
representation
yeah,
there.
definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause
good.
gonna
It's
be
exciting
coming up.
times over there.
All right.
I need to talk.
So then we have Wyndham Regional Commission, that would be Rod Francis and Elizabeth McLaughlin. We want to thank Elizabeth. So, Kate, you're
I'm just
looking
gonna-
over at me?
Well, I'm going to say, I'm on the Capital Grant Review Board now. I'm fine being on that because I don't really think,
It's not working.
well, it doesn't take a lot of time, so.
Oh, no.
You want to do
So
that?
I'm happy to do that again.
Okay. Kate is Capital Grant Review Board.
Yeah.
All right, Donna's not here, so give her the worst thing
Yeah.
possible.
The rental house.
Oh, I
You want
got
to be
it.
on rental, there's two spots, Donna, Rental Housing Improvement and Small Business Assistance Program. Do you want to be one of those?
Or both.
Say those
We're on
names.
committee assignments.
Yeah,
I can't.
Under
do
tab
small
F.
Gotcha.
And the two that are left are Rental Housing Improvement Program Loan Committee and Small Business Assistance Program Loan Committee.
And capital grant review?
You want to be on rental home?
Sign me up.
Excellent. Donna.
Sign me up.
All right, and then does anybody want to be on the Small Business Assistance Program Loan Committee? Do we need to have a select board person on that?
I have been on it, but I had to, I recused myself for the farmer's market
Right,
loan.
right.
So I guess I'll
Just once.
just stay on it.
Do you want to?
Okay.
All right, so we now have a slate of committee members, and I will read them out loud, and then we'll vote.
Do we need a second capital grants?
I think we can do that.
Okay.
Do we have to have one? Two?
There are two from select board, two from school, two from representative town meeting.
Yes, Jim.
Okay. So we have one person, Kate, for the Capital Grant Review Board.
We've only met once, so
Right.
it's not like it's
I know.
time-consuming.
I know, it's not.
All right, Gardenstein.
David, now all of a sudden.
All right,
If we
so
fill up
two
long
people
enough,
for
that's
Capital
it.
Grant Review Board. I don't have enough to do. Kate and David. Rental Housing Improvement Program, Donna. Small Business Assistance Program, Dave Scholes. Traffic Safety, me. Wyndham Solid Waste Management, Dave Scholes and John Allen. And Wyndham Regional Commission, Rod Francis and Elizabeth McLaughlin. That's the slate of nominees. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. Next matter on the agenda is rules of conduct of meetings and hearings.
We have no rules. It's an anarchy.
All right, so does anybody have any comments or suggestions to the rules as presented?
Have they changed?
No, they're the same.
There you go.
I read them, cover to cover.
So did I.
Boring.
That
All right.
is boring.
Did you happen to notice my recommendation in the administrative?
No, Patrick's got a recommendation.
There was the drinking one?
Right,
In the
start.
administrative report, I note the relic, as I call it.
Yes, I
Right.
Which is section H, I believe, which is a holdover, sort of a placeholder from when we were developing the criteria for awarding liquor license. That's now been codified into our town ordinances. And so one thought might be to dismiss it from the rules of procedure for the select board.
So the proposal now, because all of H in the rules of procedure are included in the code of ordinances, that we approve the rules of conduct, striking the entirety of section H. Does anybody object to that? No. All righty then. I move that we approve and adopt the rules of conduct of meetings and hearings in a form identical to what was approved on April 2, 2013, with the exception of striking all of section H, criteria for awarding a liquor license. And I would note that those rules of conduct include our regular meeting times, first and third Tuesday of the month at 6:15 p.m., which is a separate requirement that we have to adopt regular meeting times. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. So following up on the town meeting and on the work we did on the budget and on business as general, we do have to have our meeting to discuss select board goals. Do you want to do it on the 7th, after the site visit?
David, I'm not going to be present at the 7th.
Then we don't want to do it then.
Right,
Definitely. Do you have any goals?
I do.
Tell us. We'll write them down and tell us.
Goal is to not be.
Oh, no, you're going to be here, because we're not going to do it on the 7th.
Right, you're not going to be,
We're not gonna do it on the 7th.
You've got two things going on the 7th.
Right.
Exactly.
New England Drive
Right.
and,
Right.
right?
Okay, so
Special meeting.
how's about, we plan on doing it someday next week? Are you gone just that day?
John's going away.
All day into
Right.
Tuesday.
Okay. All right, so how's about everybody give Jan your availability for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week?
Okay.
I'm leaving on Friday.
10th or 11th, right?
All right, so
Wednesday,
just
Thursday.
Wednesday and Thursday.
The 9th or 10th.
Yep, 9th and 10th.
Not unless I can do it from proxy.
No,
from
we're
Cancun.
not.
Unless I don't do something I'm supposed to do.
All right, so it's
But-
going to be the 9th.
Could we do it early morning? Could we do
We can do
Saturday?
early morning or after work hours, yep.
I hate to do that.
So just please be in touch with Jen about your availability 9th and 10th, and let's try to work it out.
Okay.
All right, tomorrow. Is there any further discussion?
None.
Well, very nice.
There's a calendar, however.
Calendar, anybody going to read the calendar?
This
I'm not reading the calendar.
Quicker than I thought.
All right, I'll read the calendar. Where's the calendar?
No, you eat the
That's all right, I got
peanuts.
it.
I'll get it.
You got it? Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will place myself. You're welcome.
It's such a reasonable request.
Oh,
This is the Brattleboro Town Calendar
Go, Johnny.
for Thursday, April 3rd, 4 p.m., Police Fire Facility Building Committee in the Hannah Cosman Room. 5:15, my one I love, Skate Park Site Selection Committee meeting in the Gibson Aiken. Monday, April 7th, 5 p.m., Energy Committee, Hannah Cosman Room. 5:30 p.m., Select Board Site Visit, 176 New England Drive. This is still on Monday, April 7th. 6:15 p.m., Special Select Board Meeting, Select Board Meeting Room. Tuesday, April 8th, 2 p.m., SBAP Meeting, Hannah Cosman. 4 p.m., Arts Committee, Hannah Cosman. 7 p.m., Tree Advisory Committee, Hannah Cosman. Thursday, April 10th, 5:15 p.m., Skate Park Site Selection Committee, Gibson Aiken, Conference Room. Friday, April 11th, 10 a.m., ADA Advisory Committee, Marlboro College Graduate Center. Monday, April 14th, 5:15 p.m., West River Park Meeting, Gibson Aiken Conference Room. 6 p.m., Planning Commission Select Board Meeting Room. Hold on. Same date, 6 p.m., Rec and Parks Board Meeting, Gibson Aiken Center. Thursday, April 15th, 6:15 p.m., Select Board Meeting, Select Board Room.
We're ready for a motion to adjourn. Thank you, John, very nice.
So moved.
We have a motion to adjourn. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstaining? That carries 5-0. Thank you, members of the press. Thank you, BCTV. Thank you, ASL interpreters. Everybody have a good night.